Our panel here and see what can come out of that, and then we'll start taking some questions here in the audience as well, because there's quite a number of questions as well. So one viewer wanted to know, Minister, tribalism and a lack of women involved in rural development, is that a fair assessment?
Tribalism, I don't know what he means by that, but what I understand is this, that in the land tenure system that we are proposing, there is the communal tenure. We're saying there, communal tenure with institutionalized use rights. Now that's where the trick lies, in addressing whether there would be tribalism there or male chauvinism, is to address that, because the challenge is that in instances where the husband dies and there's no institutionalized use right in a communal land area, then women are the first to suffer. Because we were in a place which I can't name here, which is, I can never forget, where we went there doing work, Masibambisana work. And the Induna was talking to people, and one old lady came to me, which is why this is very serious. She comes to me, she says, "Minister, this land which you were plowing, that's my land. My husband died 3 months ago. Induna has taken my land. I want you to help us." Now, I thought at that moment, if I did anything now, I'm going to go away. What do we do with this lady? She's there. I kept quiet. I said to myself, this is one area which we must put our finger on. So in the second principle of the three principles in land reform and rural development, it says democratic and equitable allocation and use of land across race, gender, and class. It is meant to address that. So those three principles, deracializing the rural economy and that one, are critical in dealing with this question, whether it's male chauvinism or tribalism. So when the model of communal tenure that we're proposing, it's saying the land use, the institutionalization of land use means that whether it is a child-headed family or household, or it is a woman-headed household, when they must have exactly the same rights as men. So when you institutionalize that use right within a communal land area, you're blind to gender, you're blind to race, you're blind to class. But that's a protection that we...
But aren't you on a collision course then with this traditional courts bill? Because some of the concerns that you've raised are going to be entrenched in that courts bill, where you're giving power to men, ostensibly, to make decisions.
No, but remember this, that Clara was what do you call this?
Kicked out.
Was kicked out by the Constitutional Court, not only because of procedural weaknesses, but also because of some substantive issues, including this one. So the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management Bill has to address some of those issues. And those issues must be blind to gender, to class and race, so that women find their place, which is their natural place, in ownership patterns and systems of control of land use and ownership in the country. Okay. So that thing it can't have a place in new legislation. Okay. So when we talk about a communal tenure and we say institutionalizing use rights, we want to deal with those issues. We've consulted with traditional leaders. We haven't heard them say this is out of order. Not yet.
All right. Ms. Hlubi, are these gentlemen doing enough for women? I know that there's a female land commissioner appointed this year, first one, so significant strides. But are they just talking the right talk? What's actually happening on the ground? And in the communities that they're talking, are they pointing to these men and saying, this is not the story?
Peter, I think what is happening, I think I'm the witness to what they're saying, because yes, I was put in this structure by the people that I represent, but within the structure, there is a good mix of women and men, and we all talk, the same language. Well, some of us might not be able to talk in the manner that will be able to explain their situations, and some of us do. And what tends to happen is that when people listen to you, putting out a situation, whether it's your situation or a situation in your area, they tend to think that that one talks, that one can talk, and that one can, and that is how it comes out. And I think what they are saying, we are seeing it happening, because there have been problems where in the rural areas, people seem to be scared to come out and say things because of the local structures that exist that might come back and, put them in a bad situation.
Okay, all right. Just before we go to the tables, Deputy Minister, 1913, land was sold to certain people. What about the land that wasn't sold? Who does that legally belong to?
Well, the constitutional responsibility is not only to restitute, in other words, give back what belonged to people in the first place, but also to redistribute. The state must find land and reallocate it to expand land ownership in the country. So part of the huge resources that we have responsibility for in the department is to do precisely that, expand that thing. The debate about whether to open up the deadlines, for example, 1913 itself and 1998, December, as well, are informed by the recognition that we may have missed some things. Whether that decision is going to be taken and how soon, that's a moot point. But I want to confirm that, no, women, in the policies, we must create conditions for gender-sensitive policies, and it can escape, like the traditional courts bill. That issue is under debate and will not survive if it continues to reinforce what you are suggesting. Right. It won't escape legislative process. That we can guarantee. Okay. If it survives that, it won't escape the courts.
Okay.
So the people must be reassured that the policies that we are working with will be gender sensitive. We are gender activists, Peter. You can be sure of that, yes.
All right, so now we're getting into the session where I'm going to ask for questions on the floor. And if I could ask the questions to be quick fire and the answers to be quick fire as well, because otherwise we're going to run out of time. And I've jumped this question to the front because it also addresses one of the questions that was raised by a viewer here. So table number 9, Xolani Mthethwa. I know that rural youth, you said to me you are the real rural youth. Where are you? Table number 9. If you want to just stand up, Xolani, table number 9. Yeah, is there? Yeah? No, oh, 1-9, sorry. Is it? No, 9, table number 9. Xolani, where are you? Oh, yeah. Microphone, sorry. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Peter. Minister, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm from rural KZN in Gugile, and just to be quick, Peter, we started sharecropping with rural communities. We are assisting 50 families, and we employ over 40 people. We're under the age of 30, and there are 3 of us. We applied for a farm with Department of Land Reform, and in our application, it waited 2 years to get the best farm, best value when you talk about sort of getting the most out of it, and we waited for a big farm. In the process of our application, we were told that, look, it's too big. You're going to have to share it with another at least plus minus 10 beneficiaries. And we ask ourselves, that farm was managed by one 29-year-old white gentleman. And we say, my grandfather was a subsistence farmer, so was my father, and this was the opportunity, we thought this was ours. So we understand that the department is under pressure to have a lot of people have the land. But is it not good to start now giving opportunities to people with the capabilities to also create a flagship for your department. And when I say this a flagship, I'm talking about changing the psyche of 1913 to show that black youth, as much, are also capable of doing what white youth are doing. On the other hand, Minister, just to finish off, Peter,
Yeah.
thank you very much. I just want to state that the psyche of 1913 needs to change, and we need the opportunity to be given to us soon while we're still available.
Okay, so I don't know.
Yeah, you know, what's the name?
Kolan.
Kolan, thanks. But Kolan, look across the table. Look at that young man. No, he's a good friend of yours. Are you as arrogant as him? He's right. You know, young people today, we give land to youngsters here. And the way they're performing is unbelievable. You said we must be short. I get carried away with this youngster because they're doing very well. I think that's exactly what Hlubi was talking about. What Kolani's problem is about is when she said communication and what's happening at the provincial and local levels and so on. You know, it happens all the time. And but let me assure Kolani that, you know, Kolani, our mandate in 2009 was simple. Was saying we started by numbers. We think it doesn't work well because there are conflicts. We give people land in big numbers. Sometimes you give people 100 households, 100 hectares of land. Immediately you kill the productive capacity and value of that land. So all of those things, the mandate was simply get as few people as possible, including individuals, who've shown ability, commitment, and passion for farming. So that's the route we're taking now. So I can assure him that we're handling the matter that way now.
So can he contact you directly?
Yeah, he must contact you.
Okay.
Because you see, I've been told that Noah is breaking away from his group.
Okay.
He wants his own land because they become, 1 year they were so successful.
Okay.
They want to buy a farm. I'm told, he hasn't told me. That youngster.
Okay, all right.
I think they're conspiring.
Okay. Table number 13. Is this Makuyana Irvin? Table 13. Quick question.
Yes,
Quick
it's
answer.
Irvin Makuyana, journalist with the New Age. Yeah, and here with your Twitter type question, Peter. Honorable Minister, Cape Town District 6. Yes. What progress have you made, with the land restoration there? That's
Okay.
Yeah.
District 6.
Yeah, we're making progress there. Thanks very much. You see, what has happened is we've met with the claimants directly because we realize that the best way to do things is to talk to them and say to them, you are the ones who must determine how we proceed with the development and reintegration in District 6. You're at the center, ourselves and the trust are going to provide you with the support. The result is that people have actually come forth and the plans they're putting forward is something that we wouldn't have done ourselves. So right now as we speak, remember on the 11th of February, it will be the anniversary of the declaration of District 6 as a white area having been taken away from the Khoi descendants in the Cape. So that date to us is a date which we cannot go beyond without having dust on the ground in District 6.
All right, okay, so a definite deadline there. Table number 19, Molebatsi Moahi, Center for Supplier Development. Table 19.
Thank you. The Honorable Deputy Minister spoke about evidence that something is happening. I think one of those classical cases is the issue of Valmanstal, where there's also a lack of communication there. Can we perhaps get an update as to what is happening? Almost 8 years ago, we were told that the issue was resolved.
All right, okay. Unfortunately, your microphone's problematic, so people at home can't hear you. But I think what you're saying is, when is the matter of Walmanstal going to be finalized, i.e. the issuing of the rest of the title deeds? And that was aimed at you, Deputy Minister.
I don't know.
Okay. You don't have call a friend that you can.
No, that's a detail. It is difficult to speak with certainty about that kind of resolution of an issue. There are officials from the department here from Gauteng
Is there anyone who can answer
who might be able to give an indication of progress with that, because it went to court and so on and so on. Yeah, so part of is there anybody here who can quickly speak on that?
No, actually.
Why don't you point to someone? There we go.
No.
All right. So the microphone is coming to you.
Actually, can I make a comment on this, Peter? I think this is one of the thorniest, areas where we operate. This is one important thing where you have a conflict created by the slow pace of the department. You see, on the one hand. On the other hand, creating that space for opportunists to come in and distort the whole process now. Now, that's what has happened there. The reason, therefore, we said, let's go to court and stop that, is because we also gave an instruction to the Chief Land Claims Commissioner to settle that as soon as possible. Now, the question of title deeds it's a question that is cutting across all provinces. When you talk to people who have had land restituted, they'll tell you this story. Where's the title deed? I think the title deed cannot be a reason why somebody would then go there and sell plots of land which does not belong to them. That's criminal. We cannot accept that. So we have asked, we've given a clear command to the team to expedite the actual transfer of that land to the people who, like districts, it's a similar case,
right,
where we prevaricate for a long time, creating that space for opportunities to walk in. We apologize for that. Openly, we apologize for that. We're correcting that situation, and we've got a team to do it.
All right, I'm gonna move on because I'm concerned about time. Constance Mukhale, table number 15, Lamosa. Table number 15, Constance Mukhale.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My question is on the foreign. In fact, there are two questions. One is on implementation.
No, there's one question.
Oh. Because I had issues on implementation of the current policy, but I also have issues on the policy proposals that are on the table. One on the National Development Plan and one on the ANC policy conference, particularly on rural development.
So what's your concern?
I am from the Land Access Movement of South Africa, and I am representing land claimants and subsistence farmers. My concern is on the policy proposals. The National Development Plan its vision is to increase policy economic participation of rural people by 40% in 2030. And 2030 is 15 years to come. My question is, what about the 60%? And the other question is on the definition of economic participation. Because if you look at the speakers, the minister, the National Development Plan, all the people who have public platform, they are promoting commercial farming. And they are not saying anything about subsistence farming, who are rural women who are working on the land and feeding the rural masses. Because in the rural areas, we don't have orphanages, we don't have old age homes. And those people are feeding those people every day, and they are being undermined severely because they are. The plan is for them to work with the public works to get cash to go and buy. And we are saying no to the supermarket-led redistribution of food. And we are saying no to the cash crops because it's going to undermine the role of women and the role of subsistence farmers in particular. And I want to know what is the ministry's vision on that. Thank you.
Okay, so two questions. Yeah. First one, perhaps. You've got this deadline, 40%. What about the 60%? And it's still quite a way away.
No, I answered that. Yeah. I answered that first question to say these numbers actually distort reality.
Right.
Reality is that we want just an equitable redistribution of land. It has nothing to do with 40%, 30%. Those are milestones that you want to see, to use to measure progress. Secondly, with regards to the second one, you see, I think the colleague didn't catch this. I may not have been clear myself. the subdivisioning, you know, when you talk about communal land tenure, the subdivisioning of land is meant to achieve that, to allow for household, because we're creating a household sector which will be the expression of what women can do, because that's where they're strongest. So the subdivision in the communal land tenure system that we are introducing is allowing for household sector. And then the outer space, the larger space, is what we refer to as social sector, where you find manufacturing, big production, and so on, mining and other sectors in the rural community, in the communal areas. That's what we're proposing right now.
Okay, table number 6, Quintin Naidu. Table number 6, Quintin. All right.
It's gone.
Stuart. What? Is he gone? He's had the breakfast and disappeared. Okay.
Mission accomplished.
Okay. Table number 2. David, is that Lifatso? Can't read your writing. You write like a doctor. David, table number 2, if you could stand up and say your name.
Good morning.
Hello, Dave.
Everyone. The question is, how does the department going to intervene in rural areas in bringing whatever is produced there into markets both in urban areas and also internationally for export?
Okay, Deputy Minister, maybe you can.
Already some of the initiatives with mentors that have been found, some of them are already involved in markets that they themselves established. What they've done is simply to expand and include the new incoming farmers into that program. And so one of the usefulness of that exercise is precisely that. You bring in people with experience, but also in our interaction as well. The department has been approached by people who are saying, we are interested in this community. Can we work together to ensure that we have enough volumes, for example? So you expand that to include smallholder farmers. With the Department of Forestry and Fisheries, we are working together to coordinate support to smallholders so that they can provide and produce enough volume, including for export. Some of it is for domestic purposes, people who require huge amounts of whatever commodity it is. So part of the strategy, for example, in the Free State, in Bloemfontein, we're working with cattle farmers so that they own the abattoir, so that they, in other words, the entire value chain is in their hands. So we're looking at opportunities such as those to ensure that people get involved across the entirety of the system of production, not only in a limited way, only as farmers and not included in the other parts of the production process. So that's what work is happening. I thought I should also respond to a question about broader rural development program.
Yeah,
I mean, the
plans, yes.
comprehensive rural development is intended to be that, to expand into the entirety of the country, including rural infrastructure program, for example, development. Some of the basic requirements people ask for said, look at what wonderful work we are doing, but we don't have a fence here, or we don't have a road here, and we are doing a lot of that. And those kind of small interventions make a huge difference in the entirety of the rural country. Many of the requests that we do get in the rural areas is for revive our irrigation scheme. We used to live and literally feed and educate our children on this irrigation. We've just come back from Malenga in the Eastern Cape, rather in KZN. And the result is excitement about the prospects that are emerging. The infrastructure is there, was lying unused, unmaintained, and so on. So people have come together to ensure that that gets done. I was reading Lulu in the Free State, who's complaining about infrastructure generally in the country in rural areas. That's exactly what the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission is trying to do, to identify those opportunities to provide support for infrastructure, because it is key as a catalytic unlocking of potential in the rural areas. So we are working with rural people to do precisely that.
Okay, table number 11, James Mudikwa. Table number 11. Okay.
Thank you. The state is buying land from the white farmers to distribute to the black farmers. So my only concern is the state is taking too long. when buying a property like a farm. And look, they take as far as it can be a month, 6 months to 2 years working on one project. And nobody's going to come back to you and tell you what is the delay, what's going on and all that. So and then that is why some of the time you'll think the farmers, the white farmers, are not willing to sell, and they are selling. But because of the process, they end up feeling that, you know what, guys are not serious, they're not willing to buy. Thank you.
Okay.
That's true. Remember, because South Africa is such a big country, so the money, the resources are very limited. If you look at it, this year we've got 2.7 billion rands, I think, for land redistribution. That's very little, because from there we take 25% for recapitalization. So you reduce it further, but you're also looking at the qualitative side of land reform. It's very important. Secondly, actually commercial farmers, I wanted to make the comment earlier on. We've got very, very supportive commercial farmers who are working with us. There are quite a number of them. That's why you heard Grain South Africa saying, when they had their Farmer of the Year a couple of weeks ago, they say, the gap is closing between what is emerging farmer and a commercial farmer because of the recapitalization intervention. It's actually happening. It's working very well. Soon we're going to have no distinction between white and black commercial farm in the manner that we have today. So in a sense, I'm trying to say to James that we're taking long, but where he doesn't see it, it's happening elsewhere in another corner because of resources.
All right. Another issue I think he didn't raise right now, but I think it's quite important. The Valuer General is taking ages to give farmers their offers. Why is he the only one in the whole country to do this work?
The Valuer General?
Yeah.
No, it has not been established yet. It is before cabinet right now. Right. I'm hoping that tomorrow cabinet will actually approve the policy, but generally it's been.
All right.
We have and farmers we have approved it. It's before cabinet.
Can I just add an important part of the government operates at the pace of a village cow? I think. Some of the steps we are taking to shorten the time frames.
Yeah.
Initially what happened, in my opinion and my assessment, is that some of these things were put into place to prevent wrong things. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately they had an unintended consequences, that you have a number of people who must approve and sign, like 40 signatures and so on. But the processes that we are bringing into place is to try and shorten that, so that we have sufficiently robust procedural processes that prevent corruption and maladministration and problematic exercises without sacrificing the quality of decision making and the speed of delivery of such decisions. Good intentions can have unintended consequences. So we are quite alive to it, and work is being done to remedy that space that he's complaining about. Yeah.
Table number 12. Luyanda, if I can ask you to stand up and also say your surname. I can't read it as well. Leander, just say your name.
Luyanda Manugu.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Peter. The question I have is on foreign land ownership. The suggestion is that until, as a country, we deal decisively with foreign land ownership, we are complicating an equation of dealing with land distribution. And the suggestion is that when, as a government, are we going to put a stop to foreign land ownership, because we are dealing with matters as a country where land distribution is a mammoth task. But I think if we don't deal with foreign land ownership first, before we come as a nation to redistribute land properly, we are actually making ourselves have a very difficult task. So when are we dealing with foreign land ownership? Thank you.
Okay. I think in your speech you hinted on that.
What is just, Leander speaks very softly, by the way.
Okay. So his concern is foreign land ownership. He's saying that if we continue to allow foreigners to own land in South Africa, we may not be able to deal with the land distribution domestically. So should we not stop foreigners purchasing land and deal with the redistribution first?
Thanks very much, Peter. Remember that, he's dealing with a principle now, a matter of principle which is on the table. that one of what do you do with foreign ownership of land in South Africa. That's a principal issue. But he's also dealing with a tactical issue that says, why don't you put a stop for now, so that as you are introducing the new policies that affect foreign land ownership, then you might also be opening up some other tactical paths for people to intervene in their own way, negatively to what you want to do. We understand that part. I think it's correct. But there's also a very sensitive balance which you must keep. Because you still want that foreign investor to come in and invest in your country. But at the same time, we want to maintain control of the land. That's what we want to achieve with the law, with the policy that we have now. And the law that will come out of that will actually address what Uluyanda is saying.
So what might that law look like? I mean, let's say I'm a British national, I want to set up shop in South Africa, but I want to buy a house in Cape Town. Might I be limited in the opportunity to own that house in Cape Town?
Remember again, we're talking about agricultural land from our perspective, and that's what he's talking about.
Right.
From our view, we think that we have put this forward as a proposal in terms of policy, that we actually review ownership, so that we rather lease land out on a long-term basis to foreign nationals rather than ownership of land. That's what is on the table in terms of that.
All right.
Peter, can we just raise the question of vigilance? I mean, public vigilance about land and land ownership in the country. We are picking up vibes that some people are collaborating with some problematic foreigners and selling them land that they shouldn't have done so and so on. And this is a global phenomenon, by the way, land grabs. So the legal system must produce a robust system for preventing such things from happening. Because you can't discover that a piece of land has been sold to some people and people did not know about it in the area and so on. And so you try and check that out. So part of the work we are doing is to close those loopholes in the system. We recognize the necessity for certainty and so on, but we must also be satisfied that those transactions that do take place are appropriate and are not taking place outside of the involvement of people who live on that land as well. That's another consideration that we have to be mindful of.
We don't have I've seen it happen in other countries on the continent where governments even will come in under the guise of foreign direct investment, and what they need is they've run out of land in their own countries, and they come here, they buy land, produce food, and send it back home. We're not going to have that situation in this country.
There's a global problem of land and land use in many countries. They are scouting the entire continent, the entire globe for opportunities, especially where regulatory systems are poor and weak, and in some instances corrupt, to come in there and use that land to plow stuff that they can't plow in their countries because of strong environmental protection legislation and so on. They use our systems where there are gaps to take advantage. So part of the work we must do with the vigilance of everybody involved is to close those loopholes and those gaps. Part of the debate at the World Bank Land and Poverty Conference was around that issue, for example.
All right, okay, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll start taking our last questions and start wrapping up. So Herman, we're going to come to you. Edward, we're going to come to you. And also get some questions from the viewers at home. We'll take a quick break and we'll be returning shortly.